Morning, everybody. Welcome to August. I can't believe we're in August and summer is almost over. It's kind of scary. Um, so before we jump into group, as we always do, we need to do something fun. This is, I don't mean for this to be a controversial in any way. But this is meant to be fun. Putting out the disclaimer. But I would like to know if you were a drag queen, what would be your name and kind of your look, your style? Give you a second to think about it. Would you go dark? Would you go happy? Would you go like retro, futuristic? And what would be your name?
I can't think of like a name at all, so feel free to offer suggestions. But I think that the vibe would definitely be more like dark and like maybe like Starry Night. I don't know why, but that's like the thing that came to my mind just because I think that'd be fun and it's the only time you could do something crazy like that. So that's the route I would take.
You want to know what came to mind for your name?
Give it to me, Mindy. Although I'm slightly scared, but give it to
No,
me.
it's Mariah Slipperly.
Oh my God, get out of here. It's perfect. Love it. 10 out of 10. That's it. That's my answer. I am now done. Top that, everybody. Top that.
I agree. I don't know what a name would be. I would have to really think on that one. But I feel like mine would be kind of punked out like Emma Stone's Cruella de Vil kind of style. Like when she does the newspaper. I think that would be more me.
That is a cool style.
It's also a great movie, but neither here nor there in this conversation. But yes, Sam, I could see it. You might have topped me even with my 10 out of 10 name.
So I feel like I've thought about this a lot. I don't know if anyone watches RuPaul's Drag Race, but
I mean, I don't watch
fan.
it religiously, but I have definitely tuned in.
I've like binge watched every season. I'm obsessed with it, and that's another story. But I definitely can't think of a name either. I think that's a hard question, but mine would definitely be like pink. Like I definitely would be dressing in pink, definitely glitter. Um, like I would definitely be going all out, very like extravagant hair, makeup, just like movie star kind of vibe. Um, but I don't know for the name. I really can't think. But yeah.
I gotta ask, Emma, do you have a favorite season from RuPaul?
I honestly not a specific one, but I like the earlier ones better. Like the like one, two, three. I don't know. I don't as it started, I don't know. There are different things I like about each, but I like the earlier ones, I think.
I did watch an all-star season. I'm not gonna. All right, who else? Let's go, Alicia.
If I were a drag queen, I would name myself Storm because I'm here to rain on you, missus.
I'm so here for that.
You
I
win.
love it.
That's it. You win. The end. That's it. That's it. We're done.
But what's the style?
Between that and the slippery, like I can't.
I would wear a lot of like I would say like very bright lipstick and stuff like that. I would wear a lot of very high heels and like one-piece suits. And I just see myself voguing everywhere. The Vogue thing is just totally me.
I love this. I do. This is great.
Okay, I'm struggling with names because anything I come up with is going to be really naughty and I don't want to put it out there on recording. So I'll save myself from that. But I would do, because I love Day of the Dead, I would do something Day of the Dead style with like one half of the face being the skull thing and the other half being very glam Day of the Dead and lots of colorful. That's where I would go.
That sounds intriguing.
Mindy, you're muted.
I just had a full conversation with myself. So I don't know like my full name, but my name would definitely have Becca in it somewhere. And my style would be like queen, like princess, like all the way. Just tiaras and diamonds and sparkles and 100%.
Okay, this is the best that I can think of because, like, I like puns. It's hard to think of one that's honestly, if you know a lot of drag names, appropriate. Um, but so what I thought of was Anita Drink. Um, and I think like Emma, it would be a lot of pink, but probably things that like you would find in Barbie's closet. Very like Malibu-esque, maybe. Um, and like just Barbie throughout the years.
Oh my God, I love that. Barbie throughout the
Like
years.
80s type stuff, like everything from, yeah.
All right, I guess I'll go, but also I have no idea of a name. And I also was thinking, I was like, no, I can't say this because it's not very appropriate. So I think I would, I don't know, maybe sort of dark but extravagant and somewhat inappropriate.
A little bit on the risque side. Okay. All right. Brittany, Michelle.
Brittany doesn't know the question.
Oh.
Go ahead, Brittany.
She doesn't know the question. So, Brittany, the question is, if you were to do drag, what would be your name if a lot of us couldn't come up with a name, which is but kind of what would be your style, your overall style?
I have a second answer that was if I did drag, a lot of women will do opposite gender of being male as well. If I were to be a drag king, I think I'd just go with like Chad and just be like a frat boy and be like really annoying. Like someone like plays lacrosse.
I could totally get behind the like be a guy thing though, right? Like just throw on a hat, not care if like my shorts and my shirt match and leave the house. I'm not gonna lie there.
I love cargo shorts.
You gotta do the pop colors.
And I love a puka shell necklace. Just like
All
a
right.
2002 frat boy.
Michelle, what do you got for us?
I don't know. I feel like dark colors, but with neon highlights. And as for name, I don't know. I go to Giggles immediately. So
Oh my God, that is so accurate. Yes. All right, Brittany.
Yes. I don't know. My theme would be theme surrounding Beyonce, which is not new to anybody. And I can pick whichever genre of
Beyonce. You could be Beyonce.
sure. And I have many themes to go through because she has many different performances and different outfits and different genres. So I'd have a lot of material to work with.
You guys, that was so much
You
fun.
can
Thank
just
you.
be a Beyonce impersonator.
I mean, I am every night
Facts.
around like 8 o'clock in my shower. So it works out. I'm already prepared.
Yeah. All right. You guys, thank you so much. Again, this was in no way meant to be insulting. It was really just to have fun and give folks an insight into our personalities. So hopefully you got a little bit, yeah, Melissa. Melissa is bringing it. Oh, all right. So today, we know that foster care comes with a lot of unknowns, right? Being in foster care. There's so many different things that as workers, as youth in care, and as parents, we don't have control over. And so I want to, talk about some of that stuff. So what is, when you guys talk about dealing with some of those unknowns, what are some of the biggest unknowns that come to mind for you, whether it's for you as workers, for the youth that you work with, or the foster parents, or the bio parents actually as well, right? There's lots of unknowns for them too. So what are some of the biggest unknowns that you feel are our struggle for the system that we work with?
I would just say how long is the child going to be in care? How long till they can be back with their parents? It's always the question that comes up for the kids and the parents is how long is this going to be?
Yeah, that length of time. And I feel like for me, that one impacts everybody that we just talked about, right? It's not just one person. That impacts the workers, that impacts both families, that impacts the youth. So yeah, that's a great one. Thanks, Nellie. Mariah, Lauren. Mariah, then Lauren. Sorry, that was very unclear of me.
That's okay. I was just gonna say, to tack on to what Nellie was saying, outside of even just like how long, once a decision is made that it's gonna happen, when is it gonna happen? Even when that how long is answered, we still sometimes don't know when that's going to happen. Next week, the week after, at court, not at court, 2 days after court, 4 days before court. We don't know any of that, even when we know how long it's gonna be.
Yeah, that's a great point too, right? Like, before school. Well, that's great. There's, 60 more days before school. So thank you, Mariah. Hi, Lauren.
I would say navigating a a relationship to whatever degree with biological parents. And not knowing going into it what with each child what that may look like in terms of even the child's relationship with their biological parents and what that brings to life in the foster home.
Yeah. What's the degree of collaboration versus blaming versus shaming, right? All of that kind of stuff. And vice versa, right? How is the bio parent going to feel the foster parent is doing all of that stuff? And if we expand that, what's the collaboration amongst all team members? Because there's a pretty big team of people. That we have DCF, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have teachers, you have us. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes into it. And who's gonna be responsive? Who's gonna not be responsive? Who's gonna remain on the case for all of the case? The longevity of the case, who's gonna go out on medical leave. All of that are just lots of unknowns. What happens when someone new comes in? How do we bring them onto the team? What are their expectations of the team? Other things.
Just to kind of add on to that, there's also can be a lot of miscommunication with, because there are so many providers, and families hearing one thing from this provider and then like someone else telling them a different story, or just there's just a lot of uncertainty because there are so many people involved, especially when there are multiple children too, multiple like siblings. It just can get really messy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So what is that best way to communicate? What do we do when there are miscommunications? I have a room, there's a room full of Britneys this morning. Everybody's raising their hand.
I think
What is this?
I was gonna say
Brittany, did you
that
like, were you like, hey, everybody who raises their hand gets $1? What is it?
You guys
I
don't
think
pay me that much. I can't offer that.
I think that to Emma's point, what I have tried to do in the past was try to put everyone on one email chain from the very beginning, which sometimes doesn't always work out, but I try to put everybody on the same email chain so that when we do start having conversations, we're all on the same page. We try to have meetings so that we can discuss the case together, so that we're all on the same page. Sometimes some of those meetings may include foster parents so that we're all on the same page. But even so, sometimes things still get lost in translation. I would say, to your point, in terms of the unknown, not knowing the loyalty a child may have to their parent, even if they've experienced a lot of abuse in the home, them coming into the foster home and foster mom showering them with love or affection, and not knowing how that would make them feel, and how sometimes, how that might trigger the bio family. There's a lot of unknown in terms of that. That happens a lot in foster care. So just not knowing how to well, trying to learn in real time, like how to help those children or the foster parents process what's happening at that time.
You're absolutely right. And Michelle, Sam, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but like, if we can talk a little bit about some of the unknowns about when someone is, they're licensed, but like they haven't had their first placement yet. What is, the unknowns around what does that process look like?
Well, with a lot of people that I talk to, they're worried about how they would be with teenagers specifically. They worry about like their behavior, if they can handle it and stuff like that.
Yeah, just something they've never dealt with before, or there's as a teen, teens definitely have opinions. So is there going to be an acceptance and a reciprocity? Michelle, any thoughts?
So some of the conversations I've had as well with the incoming parents is, the behavior, their questions about behaviors, and also their questions about who are going to be the additional people that would be working with them. Like if something is going on, who could they have as a support system? And we have discussions in regards to that. And usually a little bit they ease into it a little more, realizing that they're not alone in this whole thing.
I love that. Understanding that there's people who can be there. Yeah. So I'm gonna read some statements, and just give a thumbs up if you agree. Like if you feel like it resonates with you, a thumbs down if you feel like this is not me at all. Fair? Okay. So I like to know exactly what my day is going to look like. Okay. I like to know exactly. Sorry, I'm about to read the same one again. Let's try that again. I'm just testing you, seeing if it changed. When something unexpected happens, I feel anxious. All right, Ellie can't decide. That's cool. That's all right. I needed to give a I'm in the middle. Yep, I love that. All right. I'm good at going with the flow. Okay. I can deal with change when I understand why something needs to change. Okay. All right. So a lot of in the middles on this one. On a few of them actually, right? That it sort of depends on the circumstance and what is happening around us. And so when we talk about that, we need to think about, it is a very human quality to want to have information about, to want to have a set of expectations, to want to have information that helps us process things and make sense of things. And that understanding that this information gives us a sense of control and helps us have things make sense to us. And so when our foster parents or our bio family or the youth we work with are asking for this information, a lot of the times it's to help them make sense of it. It's not to be annoying. It's not to be frustrating. It's not to push our buttons. And the fact that there's so many unknowns and so much uncertainty, and we can't give them these answers, it really is, we're not providing them a lot with this inherent sense of safety that humans seek. And so how do we help them live with this uncertainty? How do we help them live with this without this sense of knowledge and security that they're looking for? And so what are some examples of how we can help them have their voice heard? So let me back up. We just talked about some of the things that we are uncertain about, right? And so how do we help our clients, families, adults, youth, learn to be patient with the process?
Communication. Communication always makes people feel safe. Trying to, even if they're not reaching out to you, reaching out to them, asking if they have any questions or concerns, opening the lines of communication. I feel that once you're doing that, they feel safe that, okay, I know that this is going to get handled because this person always contacts me on Tuesday, or I know this will get handled because of this. To a point, I had a client reach out to me. She had questions about, a case and payment and things like that. And right away I said, okay, give me a second. Let me reach out to Mindy. Just her being able to have that contact right away and say, okay, so what do I need to set and see that things flow, I think makes a difference. That it happens in that time. And that kind of helps her feel comfortable and not so uncertain that it won't fix. So even if it takes 2 or 3 weeks, she knows that at least the process has already started. Through, I would say also email communication or text messaging also helps with them feeling. So I definitely would say that communicating with them on a daily or weekly basis makes them feel safe. If you're not communicating with your families, obviously I feel like there's going to always be that level of uncertainty.
Absolutely. You're right, because we don't live there, right? So, hi, Brittany. Sorry, Brittany, then Mariah. Sorry, I saw Brittany first, Mariah.
With a lot of our families that I work with, I just try to tell them to live in the moment. to kind of take it day by day. Sometimes we don't have those answers, and I'm very open and honest when I don't have the answers, and I'll let them know like I'm looking into it, but I don't have an answer for you today. You'll get an answer eventually, but to kind of just stay in the moment with the kids and let them feel their feelings. It's being uncertain, being nervous, being anxious are all a part of the process, and just learning how to be patient and to feel those feelings, and it's okay. Just, making sure that we are, reassuring them, and then just having them live in the moment. And I know it's so hard because they want to plan for the future, but just making sure that they understand that, things might not go the way you want, or you don't know what's going to happen, but you can plan to all watch a movie together on Friday. So kind of those things kind of help out, especially with our teens.
Brittany, I love that you talked about validating and normalizing the experience, validating that your experience is, you should allow yourself to experience this, and that it is, it's typical, it is an okay thing. Your feelings are good, they're okay, and this is how we can work with them. So I really appreciate that. Hi, Mariah.
What I was going to say kind of goes right along with what Brittany and Mel were both saying, but I think taking it back to me personally, I don't often get flustered when things are changing, but every once in a while, i.e. when you're camping in the woods and there's the threat of a tropical storm, there's a lot of things that you don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to pour? Is the river going to flood? And for me in that moment, it's about focusing on the things I can control. I can't control the weather. I can't control X, Y, and Z. I don't have that information, but I can prep. I can plan. I can, like Brittany was saying, we may not know what's going to happen next week with your court date, but you have this weekend. So what can you guys as a family do this weekend to enjoy time together, to make the best of the time you have? So I think that's the other piece of it, is exactly what Brittany said. Feel it. It's okay to sit in it. It's okay if it's uncomfortable, but now let's focus on what can you control? What is in your power to do? And then what Melicia was saying, I think one of the things I try to do is be something that the families can control. Like Melicia was saying, checking in, being consistent. Even if I don't have the information, I can still, like they were both saying, say, hey, I get it. I hear you. I see you. Where I am working on it. I am trying to email this person. I am trying to get that information, because there is so much that we don't know. And I think certainly we're not day to day in it with these families, but we feel that lack of control and that lack of, we just want to know too. So all of those things kind of tied together.
Yeah, Lauren. And then Mariah, I want to come back to what you talked about, the control and uncontrollable. So someone please loop me back if I forget.
I will remind you when I finish this. One thing that I was thinking about that I know is a really important role for us in supporting our foster families is because one thing that was talked about is communication, but it's often with changes in workers and so many things that we know our caseworkers have going on there, and having us be advocates as well for the needs and of our foster families when they feel like they're not getting a response from somebody else, and or feel like they're asking for something that they're being told maybe isn't a valid request, but we know it is, and making sure things get done by the correct people. And I think that that's a big deal, is also for us to support them by being advocates.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, you're right. And because I do think that sometimes it can get really confusing who does what. And so making sure their voices are heard by the appropriate entity is really, really important. I want to circle back. Mariah, you talked about what's controllable and what's not controllable. And what are some ways that you have worked with everybody? Because I think all of us, including social workers, including clinicians, can sometimes get lost in that day to day and what is controllable and what is not controllable. And we can sometimes get stuck. So what are some strategies for identifying what is controllable and what is not controllable that you guys have utilized, either that we've utilized as a team or that you utilize with your families, your youth, parents, whatever?
I would say things that are in someone else's hands. Like if I have to wait for, perfect example, if Mindy has my bag and I have to wait for Mindy to bring my bag, that's
Malicia, you
out
are
of my hand.
throwing me under the bus left and right today.
It's out of my hand. I have to wait for Mindy to bring the bag. So what I can do to control that is maybe shoot Mindy a message, and then still it's out of my hand. It's a matter of me waiting. So I can do things around my day, whether that be get other work done, make contact with whoever I need to speak to, and then circle back to Mindy, who then has my bag. But to focus more so on what I can do for myself. I can't, if it's out of my hands, then it's not within my control. And I think that a lot of times clients struggle with that when something is out of their hands. They want it to be fixed right away. And a lot of times, like I said, what we can help them do is understand, okay, we are in conversation, we're in communication with them. We have sent this email. We're going to put you on this chain. We've reached out on this date. So through communication, kind of keeping that uncertainty down by letting them know, okay, these are out of our control, but here are the things that we're advocating for. While we're here, like Brittany said, let's plan for next week. What are some of the things that you want to do with the family? Do you have any ideas? Have you been working on these goals and kind of refocus them around what they're doing in the treatment?
Can we just clear the air? Did I forget to do something for you? Do I
Give
owe you
Alicia her
anything?
bag. Just give her bag. Why are you keeping it, Mindy?
I mean, the bag, whatever she said before emailing me, like, did I literally?
No, I said I'm laughing because every time something goes wrong, I call Mindy. So I just have to use you for stuff because every time it's like something
Okay.
really terrible. I call
But
you.
at this moment, as of 11:22 on Wednesday morning, we're square. I'm not. There's
We don't got no beef. We got no beef.
no beef. No. All right, just checking. Whew.
You guys are funny. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about? Oh, how controllable versus uncontrollable. I got it. I'm back in the moment. I was caught up in the drama for a second. Sort of what Malicia was saying, and I do this all the time. I do it formally in sessions sometimes with kids and families. I do this sometimes in supervision with you guys more informally, but it is a matter of just simply running down the list of what pieces are frustrating right now. The fact that we don't know the court date. Okay, yes, frustrating. The fact that so-and-so isn't responding. Yes, frustrating. Can we do anything about not knowing the court date? Nope, can't do anything about that. Can we do something about the fact that this person isn't responding? Yes, maybe we can send a follow-up email. Yes, maybe we can reach out to this person for support, but legitimately just making a list and going through to say, hey, is this something we can tackle in any way, shape, or form? Because if we can't, then we can't. But can we tackle this? And that seems to be something that I think is helpful it's helpful for me personally. I know it's helpful sometimes in supervision, and I know it's helpful for the families to just feel like they're putting it out there, but also then finding something that they can control, something that they have something to take action on.
I like that, Mariah. What can we do? Not what can't we do? What can we do? Hi, Lauren.
I think another thing that can be uncertain in foster home is even when having a difficult conversation, perhaps with youths can be nerve-wracking, not knowing how that will go. And especially in early stages when you're still getting to know the youth, if there's something that you need to talk about, understanding that you can't control the way that they feel or necessarily how their initial reaction is, but you can always control the way you present yourself and your reaction to a situation and your actions to support what's going on, and knowing that, and just putting trust in yourself that you're in control of at least yourself. And that is important in navigating a situation, a conversation at any stage in the process or the time with them.
I love that. I do
And
that a
even
lot
when
with,
you're frustrated with a provider as well. You can't
yeah.
control what they're telling you, but you can control how you are taking it in and reacting to it to support that moving forward.
Yeah, I love that, and I do that a lot. Even sometimes for clients I work with that do a lot of the what ifs, I'll do that with them. All right, well, we don't know that that's going to happen, but if it did, what would tell me how you would handle it? Tell me what would your steps be? So yes, I agree. No, go ahead. I was just waiting for you.
No, it was that Malicia was in the waiting room.
She had actually just popped up on my screen, even
Okay.
yeah, thank you though. Okay. So I think that, this is really important. We know that there's so much unknown in this. I think the last thing that I want to talk about do you feel like, particularly for our youth, and even, I guess second tier would be the parents we work with, foster and bio, are they forthcoming when they're struggling in dealing with all these questions and this uncertainty? And if they're not, what would you say to them about bringing these types of things forward if they're not bringing them forward?
I give the professional answer. So typically when I have families who are struggling a lot, I will go in like, perfect example, one home I'll go into where she was like, I don't want to be the one to always call and complain, or I don't want to be the one to do this and that, or I don't want to be a nag and stuff like that. And I would say to her, that's the whole purpose of having a support specialist, is for me to provide that level of support. Not just, me feeling like I have to call you. I definitely am supposed to call you weekly, but you can call me anytime. And so I always put it back onto them like that. You feel free to call me anytime. Sometimes I might be a little too available. I'm working on that, but definitely, I do tell them to call me anytime, because even though we have an on-call number, a lot of times people feel they want to call who they're familiar with. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm still struggling with turning my phone off. But a lot of times people do want to call who they feel mostly familiar with when they're struggling through things. And I think that that's been helpful too, is that a lot of times I do keep my phone on. Shouldn't do that, but I do keep it on just so that people can feel more comfortable in those moments to share, or, to come out and have that conversation that they're struggling to have.
And so, Melissa, I think you also raise a good point in that, yes, we are absolutely working with everybody on self-care, and self-care is that work-life balance. And so I think emphasizing for our caretakers self-care too is helpful in these uncertain situations where stress level gets higher. And so making sure that they're checking in on their self-care plan and making the time for themselves. Any closing thoughts on this? I do want to take a minute for a shout out to you guys, and to all of the foster parents that work in this very uncertain system and create such a high stress level in an already difficult job. Raising a child is extremely difficult, and add in all of these systems issues, and it is magnified. So a huge shout out to everybody who does this kind of work. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are all heroes in your own right. So with that, I'm going to, hi, Lauren.
I forgot to mention this as well. I think that also encouraging our foster families to take part in foster support groups, so that they understand that they're not the only ones who feel these ways, who have these uncertainties. And then they can also create bonds with other foster families who they can talk to and say, have you ever felt this way? How do you deal with this when you feel this way? is another really important thing to encourage. That's it.
Thank you for adding that in, Lauren. I appreciate it. It's a really, really good point. And so with that, I'm going to wrap up our August group and wish everybody a successful back to school transition. And we'll see you in September.